Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott wave update for Bitcoin. There's a lot of panic in the market. I've been getting a lot of requests to do an update. I usually try and avoid on the weekends, but I will do one for you. Now, if you are new here, we have been tracking Bitcoin for a very, very long time. And 10 days ago, we were calling for a top. As you can see, a nice 5-wave move to the upside. We ended up tracking along the one more triangle move up and the peak, but at that point we had reached our requirement for 5 waves to be complete at 69,375. We then moved our wave one more wave over as a wave 5. At this point we are calling for 60k Bitcoin, looking for a correction between the 382 and the 786. Most likely we're expecting the 60k mark right in the ideal region. That was here. Boom, we've hit our 60k. So I get comments sometimes. It doesn't bother me anymore. It just kind of makes me laugh when people are like, this Elliott wave doesn't work. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I see no evidence of that. All right, but anyways, moving forward. This has been a very difficult count if you've been tracking along with me. This is where people think Elliott wave doesn't work because if you don't have the accurate count to begin with, obviously it's going to get a little mucky. But the important thing is we called the high, we called 60k, so the direction was correct. As long as we're short in that area, eventually the count will show itself, right? But I have two separate counts. First is, this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for an A, B, 1, 2, 3. This is either a flat or a triangle for our fourth wave, not sure. And we get 5 waves down for our C wave. Now, in this situation, we can technically be complete and be looking for a larger third wave to the upside as this completes a larger 1, 2. But what I don't like about this count is the fact we haven't even taken 30% in time of this 5-wave move to the upside. So it doesn't mean it can't be complete, it's just less probable. So in this situation, we have a 3-wave move down. So I would suggest a couple of different things. We can get a X wave. We can even break the high of our larger wave 1 in that scenario and make another 3-wave move back as a larger WXY. In this scenario, it's nice if we make that sort of running flat because we should protect this A wave low, or this W or A wave low in this scenario. So because of that reason, I am looking for a long in this area. I'll discuss how I'm planning to enter that in a moment. But I don't expect this to be the bottom unless this is our alternate count. We've discussed this one many times as well. Unless our wave 1 was actually over in this area. The only difference being is how you count this area. Is it a 1, 2, 1, 2 with a second diagonal? Or is this entire thing a wave 1 with a diagonal? You can see both count correctly. It just changes how we started the impulse. But we must be aware of both. We discussed this one for the fact that if we bottom here, it's going to throw a lot of people off because they are expecting that larger correction. And in this scenario, if wave 1 completed here, we actually just made a 335, and our B wave came right to the zone we'd expect between the 123.6% and the 132.2% extension of this A wave here. That's what we call our B or X zone. Now in this scenario, we can count this as 5 waves down or that ABC from the other count, and this would switch to a WXY. A 333. ABC is a 335. WXY can be a 333. But in this scenario, This would be our 5 waves down for wave 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and we could get one more push down. So you can see we don't have 5 waves down complete yet. So a couple different counts going on. Important things is breaks in structure. So as soon as we break this wave 4, I want to see the micro count on this wave. Can I get a micro 5 wave move up off that low? Okay. I know some people are going to look at this and say, that's an ugly 5 wave pattern. I agree with you. It goes against standard guidelines. But currently, wave 3 is not the shortest. There's no overlap between 1 and 4. And it becomes invalid past 55,691, 4-5 there. That's when the third wave would be the shortest. I just took the extension of wave 3 off of wave 4. That's where it would be the shortest. You can see we're right at that between the 618 and the 786 area, which we've called for since up in this area. So nothing to be panicked about. This is exactly what we wanted to happen. We wanted this to happen, right? Don't be panicked like everybody else. Now, talking about this structure, all that changes is the fact that we have a extended wave 1. That's the only difference. Straight from Elliott Wave International, as you can see. Extended wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Extended wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know everybody, well, I've gotten comments saying, I don't like the size of your wave 3, this and that. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Neither do I, but I'm not going to say it can't happen just because there's a potential extended wave 1. That's not my choice to have that bias, right? We're just looking for a correction into this zone that we've been calling for 10 days. So trying to figure out how that fits. Is the wave 1 high over here? In that case, we just take off from here, from the current area, or is the wave 5 over here and we get a flat correction? Do I know which one's going to happen? No. Is it my job to have a bias if they're both pretty much as equal probability? No, I just have to track the waves, right? One thing I will say is the next direction is up. So I'm going to long. Simple, right? Okay. Let's go out to the 4 hour. I wanted to show you some stuff because people get very nervous in areas where, excuse me, in areas where there's not clean counts. So let's actually go back to this wave 4. I still remember tracking this one. It was brutal. That was our entire correction. If you remember, everybody was panicked here. And it took a little bit of time to for the count to expose itself. And even looking at this, what would you think the count is? Because the next move was to the upside. We made highs above our third wave. Way up. Originally, we were looking, I still remember this, that was an ABC. We were looking for a WXY. I remember that. But the direction was still to the downside. It was an ABC. And then we got this. This was a WXY. 333. And I remember this zone right here. This was the worst. We were looking for an A, B, C, and then 5 waves down. I still remember that because this looked like a 5 wave. So we were looking for an A, B, C. Simple, right? We did not get that. This was 5 waves down for an A wave. You know what this ended up being? right here. The ugliest triangle. Oh, there's the count I had from previous. The ugliest triangle ever. As a 3-wave move. It even looks like 5 there, right? But it was most likely a WXY. So when people are like, when I get these comments of like, I don't like that count, it's just like, it's not your job to like it. It does exist, you know, just trade it the way you should. Even in this area when it was coming down, this looked like an ABC to the downside, still looking for this move, then a move down as an ABC, right? But it's not our job to say the market has to do this or that. This is what the market did. And guess what? This made a pretty clean ABC, and after that, it went all the way up to like 70K, or just shy of 70K, right? So this is when I talk about I take a trade on a potential completed pattern. This is what I mean. It's not my job to decide what pattern must happen. I just have to play the waves, right? But anyways, wanted to show you that, just to show you how ugly structures can get. Let's actually do one more, just to show you how bottoming structures can play out. Don't get too obsessed with idealized Elliott wave patterns. Don't look for those perfect patterns. They very rarely exist. This was at our low of that massive flat. Original wave 2. I actually remember I was one of the only people long in this area. Everybody I saw was bearish, saying this is coming down. We were long way back here though. This was a diagonal for wave 1, wave 2, expanded diagonal for another 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. It looks so much like a WXY, right? 3, 3, 3. And so I understand why everybody was bearish here, but at the same time, we had a completed count, right? So it's not my job to be biased one way or the other. Didn't really see an impulsive move here to the downside. Saw a lot of 3-wave moves. I can't remember exactly how I've traded this, but probably the break above here at 28,000, something like that. But this is just to show you how ugly this can be. This was a 1, 2, 1, 2. There's no arguing against that at this point. This was a 1, 2, 1, 2. Would you have gotten that long? That's my question for you. Would you have gotten that? If the answer was no, and you had a weird count that you just couldn't see this, then you need to be a little more open-minded and stop being so idealized on what an Elliott wave has to look like. As long as it follows rules and guidelines, it's fine. It's an option. Okay. So I've gone on long enough about that, but there was 2 very important corrections I wanted to show you there, which was right there. If you missed that, you missed out on this whole move, 80% move. And if you didn't see this as a 1, 2, 1, 2, and you were short all the way to this high, when do you get long again, right? You have to be aware of it around this area to get that move, right? So where does that leave us here? One more thing I wanted to show you. Let's go to the 1 hour, different chart. There's our CME gap for Bitcoin futures. The low end of it was at 58,790, which we have already gone through. 78,790. So the CME futures opens at 6 p.m. Eastern time in about 3 hours from now, where I'm at right now. So we'd like to see this price open and close that area, 58,790, at around 6 p.m. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this just drift sideways for now or get a correction back into that zone. But that's good, because then we can finally close that, right? Now, not worry about that CME gap anymore. Right here. So what am I looking for based on all those counts? There's a few ways to trade this. None of this is financial advice, just what I would do. You can take the long here. Stop goes at that low, 53,485. It's quite a long range though. I don't like taking trades like that unless I'm swing trading for the long term. It's about 9% gap. And there is the possibility we get one more move down. So this area is not perfect to trade, but my plan is to wait for this fourth wave break. Now, if we push really quickly, I may just enter a trigger long on that break. Stop goes at this low. In that case, I can get much larger position size because my gap is only 7% at that point than the current one. And that way I avoid just entering here, because if we do get one more push low, and this is actually some sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 within a fifth wave, which is possible as well. Where'd that go? Right there. If we make another push low, make some sort of sideways, then I can actually switch my entry to this fourth wave. So I'll let the market come to me, confirm we're most likely complete. So break of that level around 61,100-ish. Depending on the volume coming in and the strength of this move, I might just trigger long above that zone. Stop goes at this low. But we're still targeting all-time highs. Now, there's one more thing. Last note. I'm only talking about this because if we fail, you just need an idea of what's going on, right? We talked about this many times in other videos, and that was the fact that we could have been complete over here. That was an A, B, C with a triangle in between. We then had our 3, 5 waves up to complete A, B, C. So we'd be looking for a partner leg here off of this high. And if this is 5 waves down, it would most likely just be a zigzag as an A, B, C. Come to the 1-to-1 extension at 53,718 of this W wave off the X, and then we attempt a new high again. I think this is a low probability right now, but depending on the reaction in this zone will give us some indication whether or not this is happening. All right, so to wrap it all up, looking for this to start moving as either the wave 1 high over here and we take off right now and we don't make that larger correction, or as a WXY, where this is our first wave within a move and we get an X and then a Y wave. This can turn into many different structures. The important thing is we really need to protect this low at 53,485.93, and I am quite bullish at the moment. All right, guys, that's it for Bitcoin. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.